Hey everybody, how you doing? I wanted to pick up where I left off on the last video. First off, I want to tell you I'm not a podcaster, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a minister. I'm just a simple man who is trying to tell his testimony in hopes that it may help someone in need. Because I know there are those of you out there who may need help or may not realize they need help. But if you do realize that you need help, you need to seek help. And if you need to seek professional help, you need to seek professional help. I needed help. I needed help really bad at the time, and I didn't realize it for a while. But the events that led up to me going into the hospital, and then, I had to turn myself over to the officer, and he took me back over to the hospital where I was trying to get into, and he proceeded to do a strip search and all that. And then the lady and I walked out to the receptionist table, or the receptionist desk area, and the smells, it smelled just like a hospital normally would, but not quite as medicine-y. I don't even know if that's a word, but that's one of my words. I have my own way of coming up with my own language, and I hope people can understand it. And if they can't, they can make a comment, and I can reiterate, what I'm talking about. And you can always feel free to email me at 35yearskept@gmail.com, and I will answer the email. I will look at the email and I will answer it. When she told me that they was going to have to put me in a 72, it was either 72 hours or 48 hours. I'm not sure which. I'm kind of leaning towards 48 hours. A hold into my room, but they was going to be watching me for the next 48 hours. We'll just say 48 hours for the sake of the video. They had put me in the room, and all the room had, when it was kind of like a jail cell with walls. It wasn't quite as small as a jail cell, but it wasn't all that large either. But it did have sheetrock walls, and it had the door on it with the long glass window where they could observe what I was doing while I was in there. But to be honest with you, I had no intentions at that point of doing anything, because I had already halfway surrendered my life over to Jesus Christ again. Because, as I said in earlier videos, I got saved when I was 11 years old, and I always had Jesus Christ in my heart. It's just that I had run away from him, and he didn't. He won't run away from us, but we run away from him. And that doesn't even pertain to alcoholism. It pertains to life in general. If you've been saved and you're backslidden and you've gotten away from the will of the Lord in your life, then you need to go back, because he didn't leave you. You left him, and that's something really to make a note of, because Jesus won't leave us. Jesus will not desert us. He will not leave us. He will be there forever. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize. They think they've done this and they've done that, and they can't be forgiven for it. I'm here to tell you you can be forgiven for any sin. There's only one sin that you can't be forgiven for, and that's the sin that you can't ask for forgiveness for. But anyway, she took me back to the room, and they put me in the room. And that night, I remember getting down on my knees at my bed, and there was one other thing. She also gave me some tablets to, the way she stated it was to help me to come down from being drunk, because I was about half drunk whenever I got there. I didn't feel half drunk. I mean, I had drunk to the point of getting up to the normal. And at some point I'll go into more detail on how you can recognize if you're an alcoholic. But I knew, at that point I knew I was an alcoholic. I had known for a long time that I was an alcoholic. I just didn't want to stop. That was the hard part, was the stopping part, because after you get after I got so far down, I didn't realize that, I didn't want to stop, because at some point I didn't know how to stop. because I had tried to quit drinking. I had tried to say, okay, well, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to have anything to drink today. And then next thing you know, I've already talked myself into stopping at the store and buying a case of beer or a bottle of liquor. I mean, it was one of them hard things to discern. But once you discern it, and once you know that you're an alcoholic, from that point on, you will always know that you're an alcoholic. I did anyway. Once I knew that I was an alcoholic, I knew there wasn't any change in me, and I knew I was going to have help. I just didn't have I didn't feel the need to seek out help until this point now. But she took me back to the room, and they put me in there, and I knelt down at my bed that night, and I remember asking the Lord to come back out in my heart and please help me with this, because I cannot do it by myself. And I begged him in prayer to help me with this. I couldn't do it by myself. And I remember sitting on the bed after I had prayed, and there was a Bible on the table. And I remember thinking, it felt like just such a relief was lifted off of me, and it felt as though he had put his arms around me and told me that he didn't tell me in words, but I had the feeling that he was going to carry me all the way through this and help me from this point going forward. And my job was to stay as close to him as I possibly can, and I have for the last 35 years, because in every decision I make and everything I have to do in life, I pray first before I do it, and I pray before I make a decision. And every now and then, and if I make a decision without praying and it winds up being a wrong decision, that was on me, because I didn't have the direction of the Lord. And I've learned that over the years, that as long as I ask him, he will give me the right answer through a gut feeling or something. And if it turns out to not be right, it was his purpose for it not to be right. And it was, his purpose to teach me a lesson, to get me to the point to where I learned something new, or get me to a point to where I learned what not to do. But I mean, it's just everyday life will beat you up, and that's just basically the way it is with me. Every time I make decisions, especially if it's a major decision, I'll pray before I do it, and I say my prayers in the morning, I say my prayers at night, and I pray several times during the day, because even though I'm 35 years sober, I still have the cravings, and I still have the urge, to drink and to start back to drinking. And I thought after a while it would go away, but it's something that doesn't go away. It's something, it's there. And, I can look at a billboard with a Budweiser, a can of Budweiser with ice coming down side, and it just looks so good and cool, and I'll have that thought in my head. But now I've got a system that I use, and I'll say a quick prayer for the Lord to take this feeling off of me, and next thing I know, I've forgot about the feeling. So I mean, I'm able to control it a little bit better now than I once could. But I mean, and it was really rough for the first several years, because we had a lot of several traumatic things that happened in the next several years. But at this point now, I'm sitting in this hospital room, and I'm sitting there, and I feel so much better. And then I knew in the back of my head, now the hard work begins. And I reached over and I got the Bible, and I had thumbed through different scriptures in the Bible, and I've always believed that when you open the Bible, the Lord wants you, whatever page it's on, there's something on that page that the Lord wants you to see. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that the Lord does these things and puts things in front of you that you need to see, and he does it for a reason, and it's either to teach you something, for you to learn something, or it's for punishment, or it's because if you're a child of God, I firmly believe that the Lord, if you're a child of God and you sin, he doesn't not whoop us. I believe that he corrects us just like a father would. That's what the Father does. and he corrects us in a way to where we learn our lesson, and then we move on, and we become better people for it. And I believe that he, well, I'm getting off on another trail. I don't really want to go on that trail. That'll be for a later video, because I've got a weird way of looking at things. People would say it's a weird way of looking at things, but actually it's a common sense way of looking at things, because it's really simple. It's not hard to do what the Lord tells you to do, because whenever you're saved, you've got a small voice inside your heart that tells you what's right and what's wrong, and you know that whether what you're doing is right or wrong, or I do anyway. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not trying to preach to anyone, because, as I said, I'm not a preacher or a podcaster, but for myself, I know if I'm doing right or wrong. It's just that, which direction do I go? Which direction do I choose? And I've noticed that the older that I've gotten, the more I choose the good side rather than the bad side. And I want to help people. I don't want to hurt people. There's a lot of things that's changed in my life in the last 35 years. And it's brought me to the realization of I'm closer to Christ now than I ever was. And especially over the last couple of months with the way he's been dealing with me with this series. He has opened my eyes to a lot of different things. And I've been doing a lot of praying in the last couple of months. And he has really opened my eyes and helped me to see more clearly when it comes to doing these videos, because I want to help someone. I'm hoping someone can take part of my story, and if they apply it to their lives, or they do a question, if it raises questions that they have for themselves, that they could come to the realization that they need help, and I'm just hoping that it helps somebody. That's basically what I'm out for. And I'm not out for me. This is not for me. I don't want nothing to do. I don't want my face to be on any of this other than in these videos. And I'll reiterate that in the next one. Thank you. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at 35yearskept@gmail.com, and like and subscribe if you like the channel. Thank you, and God bless you.